Hey everybody, and welcome back to the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. Russ and Addison here because we just love each other, and even if we weren't recording, we would still meet up every Wednesday afternoon just to talk for like an hour.
Absolutely, we would.
Yeah. So I mean, we're glad that you guys and girls and whatever out there probably enjoy listening and watching, but it's not about you right now. It's about us. It's funny. This first player is legitimately about us because we have him on our shared team. We had our trade deadline thing last week. So now there's a lot of relevant things going on now with player injuries and all of that stuff. So we figured now's a good time to just sort of go over some of those players. So let's look at the actual trades before we get into that, I'll just say again, Addison and I co-manage the Watcher League team, and we have Joe Burrow. And right away, we got two offers. Both of them were quarterback and a first for Joe Burrow. One of them was Jordan Love, which very quickly got rejected. And the other one was Brock Purdy, which also very quickly got rejected. I waited for Addison's okay on neither of those. I saw that I'm just like, reject. Too bad.
The Love one, I put my phone back down. I was like, I'm just gonna let Russ on that one. The Purdy one made me think. I was like, ooh, that one is semi-interesting, but I still wouldn't do it for Joe Burrow.
It would have to be such a decently early first that the other team would have no real probably want to do it at that point. But that's also an interesting question, not Purdy, Burrow versus the 101 or plus, but not what we're here for. Okay, so 12-team Superflex. Let's start getting into this before I just keep sidetracking for the next hour. Joe Burrow, caution, Team B is giving up the highest value asset and the most pieces in the deal. This is super interesting to me because that is on the Joe Burrow side. The other side is CeeDee Lamb and Baker Mayfield. Joe Burrow, 688.7. CeeDee Lamb, 700.1. What? Like, I get it. It's very relevant to the next trade also, but Prescott and Lamb are finally doing what they should be doing. Like, they are, like, maybe I love going back to the Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford. Maybe they started going to breakfast together.
Oh, that's been great for all my CeeDee Lamb shares. So
yeah. But man, like, I get it. CeeDee Lamb is very good. CeeDee Lamb is very young. He's 24. But Joe Burrow, 26-year-old quarterback, stud quarterback. I mean, Joe Burrow, he's not a top-tier quarterback. I don't foresee him making his way into that Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts. But he's still at the top of that next tier for me. And the injury, like, let's face it, it's a 26-year-old quarterback missing 7 games. Why? Like, to me, in my mind, that shouldn't change his dynasty value at all. Now, analyzer values are going to change because people are going to start doing the mock drafts and people are going to start making trades about this guy who can't score them points. I get it, Baker scoring some points, but I feel like the second Joe Burrow steps on this field, you insanely regret this trade. I don't care that the analyzer is putting it on the other side. It's going to be, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't, like, and me, Mr. Wide Receiver, like, I still would not be able to do this. And it's mind blowing that Joe Burrow is worth less than CeeDee Lamb right now.
That, I think, is the interesting part of this, because if you look at the numbers, like, Joe Burrow's ADP from November is higher than CeeDee Lamb's. His rank is higher than CeeDee Lamb's. Their age, sure, Burrow is 2 years older, but quarterback years to wide receiver
position wise, neither of them matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter at all. This has to be there is a final adjustment on trade analyzer values that weighs in recent trades.
Yeah.
Like actual trades that were done from the trade finder and weights their value then that way. So a bunch of Joe Burrow trades come in that show Joe Burrow should be under that ADP in that rank, have dropped his value down in the analyzer. But I would take Joe Burrow over CeeDee Lamb every day of the week. I'm taking a top 5 quarterback in Superflex over a top 5 wide receiver every single day. And
yeah, like, even if we were to do a legit startup right now,
I'm still taking Burrow over Lamb.
Burrow's coming first, and Burrow's still in the first round for me.
Top 5 potentially. Still.
I would understand. There's really
7,
just two
fine.
quarterbacks, really, like Herbert and Lamar are the two quarterbacks that I stop and I'm like, I can see them jumping him now.
I'll add
Argument could be
Stroud to
made
that
for
list as
Kyler.
well. Stroud in there too.
I'm not super ready for that. Like, if this were 3 games into next season and he was still doing this, I would say yes.
Stroud feels like you're hitting the reset button on Burrow. Not that you need to hit the age reset button,
I'm a
but it's just like
26-year-old. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's Burrow 3-4 years ago is what you're getting with Stroud right now, without the injury. Now the 2 injuries, I guess, and up and coming offense, all that other kind of stuff. But anyway, this trade specifically, I get it from the mindset that you're a contender and you want to replace Joe Burrow's production at the quarterback position. You can kind of do that with Baker Mayfield relatively. He's been playing pretty well. That you get a solid top 18 numbers out of Baker Mayfield. Then you get top 5, top 3 wide receiver numbers out of CeeDee Lamb. Like that. Like, I don't think this is a bad trade. This is not a trade that I would be wanting to do, because I've talked about this multiple times. I even made a member-only video talking about Joe Burrow's trade now. It's just, as soon as the season ends, which is literally in like 5 weeks, Joe Burrow's ADP goes right back up, because we're talking about 2024, and he's going to be completely healthy for 2024, and none of this actually matters. So we have a 5 or 6 week period here where Joe Burrow's value has dropped just because it's around the fantasy playoffs, and because he was good enough to help teams get to being in the playoffs, that now they are concerned and they're trying to salvage what they can for the season. So we have this really weird, like, again, period of time where Joe Burrow's value has dropped. And if you can take advantage of it, you know, he's just going to go right back up to where he was, or should be still right now, once January 2nd, 2024 hits.
Yeah, by the way, Baker, 18.7 points per game, QB 20.
Not bad.
It's not bad. That's not good.
It's not, I agree, it's not great, but it's not bad.
Yeah, I think panic has so much to do with these Baker Mayfield trades. This next one though is closer to me. And the next trade is Burrow for Dak Prescott in a late first. Burrow 688.7, Prescott 445, the late first 219 for a total of 665. Like, this, Dak is doing so well right now. Like, I don't care that he's 30, because again, it's like, what, 6 years before we start worrying about old quarterback. But Dak Prescott, again, he's just scoring so well that I'll just take a first and keep moving on, because again, Dak Prescott, his value dropped last year because of the coaching, not because of him. And I think that is sort of lost on a lot of people, and why he ended up getting value so lowly, because he's done this before. Except actually now he's doing more through the air and less rushing for 6 touchdowns every single season, which was hilarious that he was always doing that. Like, if he had like 3 or 4 seasons in a row with exactly such, like, he was doing it on purpose almost. Like, because if I'm a competing team, I'm getting Dak Prescott and another late first. I'm using that late first to get me something else to bolster my roster to further compete. So, like, this feels like a very good trade to me. And honestly, right after the Burrow injury, I saw a lot of Burrow for Dak straight up trades.
Yes, I saw a ton of them too.
So getting a first on top is beautiful, and what should be happening.
So this first round pick is for somebody who's not involved in the deal. It just happens to be the first place team's first round pick. So This is a contender who had that other pick. I guess is now falling out of contention because they lost Joe Burrow. So they're looking forward to 2024.
Yep.
But anyway, but this deal specifically, like when you mentioned before that we had gotten the offer of Brock Purdy in a first for Joe Burrow, and I was kind of like, as far as decent offers go for Joe Burrow that I saw, like a lot of people were just sending trash offers for Joe Burrow to try to pull him away, like they were going to pull a fast one on the guy. So Purdy in a first for Burrow was not the worst thing that I saw. Dak in a first for Burrow, though, I'm definitely on board with this, because I view Dak as a top 10 dynasty quarterback. And by top 10, I mean probably 10. But
Yeah, I could definitely see that now. Because like a lot of the two speculative guys of Lawrence and Fields have kind of fallen below
Right. There's more
that for
concern
me
about
now.
them for longevity for Fields, production issues for Lawrence. Richardson is hurt and still kind of an unknown. Bryce Young hasn't done anything. There's a bunch of that whole tier is really weird after like QB 11 or 12.
Yeah,
Um,
and then
to
Tua is up there also. But like,
Yep.
yeah, I
Yeah.
like this trade for both because, again, I think Burrow, who again will be completely ready for next off season's workouts and everything. Like he will be healed by then. It's supposed to be a 4-month rehab, and that's from like a week or two ago when he got the surgery.
Yeah. So this, like, if they made the Super Bowl, there he could maybe have been back by the Super Bowl potentially.
Yeah,
But
like if he were to switch sports to baseball, he'd be able to play in spring training.
wow.
I have no idea why I pulled that out, but I did, and I can't take it back. So
If
I'm
he were
sorry,
to switch
everybody.
sports to the NBA, he would be here for the playoffs. So then it would,
Don't play hockey, Joe Burrow. I got nothing.
Hey guys, I just wanted to let y'all know that our biggest sale of the year begins now. The 2023 annual DLF Cyber Week sale is the best way to get a full year of DLF Premium membership at 30% off of the normal subscription price for only $34.99. The sale is running right now through the end of Cyber Week on Friday, December 1st. So take advantage of the Cyber Week sale. Simply hit the link in the description below and make sure to use the coupon code CYBER2023 for a full year of DLF Premium at 30% off.
So let's talk about his teammate and one of the loves of my life.
I'm curious on if these trades are going to make you sad or happy that T. Higgins is super acquirable right now. I don't know which way you're going to go.
Can it be both?
It could be both. It's not going to be super acquirable for you because you have Higgins on basically every single
and everyone
roster.
knows it's me, so I'm not getting T. Higgins cheap anywhere. But yes, these trades absolutely make me sad. So the thing about T. Higgins is he's really good. And the thing about T. Higgins is he has been getting hurt a lot this season. And the thing about T. Higgins was in the beginning of the season when he was healthy, Joe Burrow wasn't healthy. Like I said, we have like a game and a half of healthy both of them. And combined, T. Higgins went like 10 for 150. Like he was doing really well and then hurt his hamstring, which he might be back for next week. And then also don't forget, there's a really good chance the Bengals are not going to be able to afford him.
Right.
I would love to see the bookkeeping of if they end up signing him. Like it would just show how fake money is in the NFL.
Their defense would disintegrate, which would probably be really fun. Like imagine like the Bengals with the Vikings defense that caused Kirk Cousins to air it out all the time 50 times a game. Oh,
I'm there. I'm there. And then, so T. Higgins, there's a chance is going to another team in which he will be the number one on that other team. And we have seen him be physically able to do that. And just trust me, he's physically able to do that. Because I like him.
No, he's a wide receiver one for sure. Just stuck on. Like people, like we're talking about, like imagine Ayuk moving out of San Francisco where you can go to be like a volume wide receiver one, a la what Stephon Diggs leaving Minnesota did. That opened up the, Justin Jefferson obviously, but also helped Stephon Diggs immensely. Now imagine if T. Higgins does that. Imagine if he goes and signs in Houston as like the wide receiver, like the big body,
your mouth,
massive wide receiver one there. Imagine if he goes, Kansas City will forever be a landing spot for an elite wide receiver until they actually get one. I love Rashee Rice, but T. Higgins with Patrick Mahomes, come on. Like there's a handful of those spots around the NFL where T. Higgins can go to and be a massive, massive contributor.
Well, now that you brought up the Texans, but like I have a wish list of 2.
Okay.
Carolina. Because first of all, I like him being tied to a young, good quarterback, but because I'm going to get that beautiful Calvin Ridley green Jaguars jersey, it would look beautiful next to that blue 5 Higgins jersey.
Yeah.
Or save it, make it even easier for me. Higgins just goes to Jacksonville.
And then you have two.
And they're the same color, and I have my two favorite wide receivers on the same team.
You might as well just get a Christian Kirk jersey while you're at it.
I would. If the three of them end up together, I will frame it together and everything.
The other landing spot that I always think about is, what if he went to the Chargers? Because I think Mike Williams can be cut at the end of this year. They could cut Mike Williams and save $20 million.
The only that would just make
use that $20 million and then go sign T. Higgins.
That would just make me sad for Quentin Johnston, because I really did. I do like
he sucks, so that doesn't matter.
Shut your mouth. All right, so 12-team Superflex. The first one is T. Higgins for Jahan Dotson and Jalen Warren. T. Higgins at 421.1, Jahan Dotson 186, Jalen Warren 103 for a total of 289. Yeah, this is so easily T. Higgins to me. Now, I like Jahan Dotson. You like him more than I do. But the fact of the matter is he's on the Manders. The Manders are just bred for mediocrity. Do you have like some Penn State something sitting behind you that you're looking to grab?
It came in the mail. I haven't even opened it yet. It's a Dotson jersey.
Nice.
I gotta put it up.
And Jalen Warren is fun and all, but I don't think he's that much of a thing. Like, this is absolutely panic on T. Higgins that should not be there. And like, if you're competing, do Dotson and Warren really help you that much?
No.
Like that's really the thing. Like, yeah, Dotson has a couple of good games whenever he catches a touchdown, which he's good at now, don't get me wrong, but and I have Dotson on a decent amount of teams. But like, that's not really going to help replace him. Jalen Warren.
People think they're buying Austin Eckler with Jalen Warren or Tony
seriously,
Pollard.
He's small and undrafted and fast. That does not make him as Austin Eckler. So like, there's a reason it doesn't happen very often. But this is so easily T. Higgins to me.
So easily. This is, and there was actually a tweet that I responded to this morning that said that T. Higgins is on the injury prone list of players that you might want to avoid. And they threw his name in with like Kadarius Toney and a couple other like highly injury prone guys who also just are not good. And they threw T. Higgins in there. And then they were like, but here's some injured players right now who are like, just take me up, shoot me with some pain medicine, and I'll be good to go. And it was like Kyler Murray and Dallas Goedert. I don't really understand what the heck was going on with that and why T. Higgins wasn't on that list. But anyway, there was a lot of comments on that. And I got a couple comments on mine too, saying that like people might just be done with T. Higgins. Like, he hasn't really done much all this year. He's only played 7 games. And even in the majority of those games, he tried to play through it and tried to play hurt, and it wasn't all that productive. Joe Burrow was also hurt. And then when you look at what he did last year, people were saying that there were 3 games last year where he started and then left early, played like under 20% of the snaps, basically goose egged you for 3 games, which I get. But at the same time, the other 13 games that he had played, he was on pace for 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns. So, but it just seems like there's this narrative around T. Higgins that he's injury prone and that managers that have him might be just kind of sick of having him. And he might be easily acquired for trades like this. And this actually isn't the only Jahan Dotson trade for T. Higgins in the analyzer. There was something, I think a day or two before this one, that was just Dotson in a second. Basically the same exact trade, Dotson and Warren, Dotson a second for T. Higgins. And it's just, if you could do that with any Jahan Dotson like value players to go up and get Higgins, that's such an easy move to make.
All right. Well, after this show, I'm going to go through every league I don't have Higgins and see what I can get away with. Because the next one is T. Higgins for Russell Wilson. Higgins 421.1, Russell Wilson 262.2. Russell Wilson, I had it pulled up. Hold on. 19 points per game, QB 19 at the moment. like maybe if like this is one of those feels like those moves like, yeah, I lost Burrow and I'm so stacked at wide receiver. Let me just give my wide receiver 6 to go replace my quarterback. In which case, good for you. Your team's freaking great. But like, Man, I feel like you should have been aiming higher than Russell Wilson.
That's what I wanted to ask you on this. So I have Superflex ADP pulled up, and I'm going to ask you as unbiased as you possibly can, because I know you love T. Higgins, but I'm going to go up the quarterback rankings and see how high we get before you would trade T. Higgins for a quarterback. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Russell Wilson is QB 23. I am automatically just going to skip the first three guys that are ahead of him because it's Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, and Kenny Pickett. And I have no idea why Russell Wilson is behind all three of them. So anyway, QB 19 then is Kirk Cousins. I feel like this is a very neutral barometer.
If Kirk Cousins were playing and scoring like he was before, the answer might have been yes. But right now, no.
And I think that's probably the reason why Kirk Cousins is so low in ADP is because he hasn't been playing. Jordan Love.
No.
Okay. We got a comment about that actually an hour or two ago.
Like, I get it. It's honestly not bad. Like I need to put that out there. Like Jordan Love being a young quarterback, it seems like he's playing well enough that he probably keeps his job.
He's played well the past 3 games or so.
So like I get it a little bit. Hold on. How's he scoring right now? I mean, Jordan Love, QB 10 in points per game, last 3 games, 21, 24, 29. Yeah, I mean,
he has some Sam Howell kind of feel to him, you know?
Yeah, Howell dropping to QB 9 in points per game. What trash he's become, right? Only putting up 27, 23, and 21. Such garbage. I love Sam Howell. Seeing that Love is doing better right now and really liking how Reed is working out there as a wide receiver, like I feel a little better about it, but I'm still not thrilled with it. I don't think Love gives you any sort of edge at quarterback. And I think Higgins can give you a strong wide receiver scoring that is harder to replace than the 19, 20 point per game quarterback, which there's usually a glut of them.
Jared Goff.
He hasn't been doing great lately. Ever since week 6, he put up 25 points, but since then 13, 16, 24, 19, 21. All right, so I mean, like he's doing a little bit. I don't think I would do it, but I wouldn't hate it if I saw it.
Bryce Young.
If I was starting a rebuild, I don't hate this. Not that T. Higgins is old, that you don't keep him on your rebuilding team anyway, but like if you're breaking your team down and you have the old QBs that you just want to get rid of, I don't hate that as a start of a rebuild because I do believe that Bryce Young is good and will be good. So I'm good with that.
Okay. So then we get into the top 15. Deshaun Watson is QB 15.
Nope.
And then up above that, we get to Dak, Fields, Purdy, Kyler, Anthony Richardson. And I feel like I'm trading T. Higgins away for
any of those.
All of them. Yes.
Yeah. Like I think we're at the point where it's going to start being, why would the other person send good scoring, decently ranked QBs for a wide receiver that isn't top 10, or at least playing like it. But yeah, like I think the realistic area is that Jordan Love. Did you say Purdy?
Yes, he was in that group of with Kyler and Fields.
Yeah, like that's the area to me that seems like okay, I get it. Mm-hmm. Would I want to do it? No. Would I do it if I needed to? Sure. But like Russell Wilson is aiming a little too low with a combination of age, play, and situation. All right, so let's move on to Mark Andrews, which to me is such an interesting conversation because again, the difference between Mark Andrews and Joe Burrow, to me, Mark Andrews is going to be back for this NFL season. And I think that even though it will most likely be outside of the fantasy season, to me, that just makes it even less of an issue because like the real question is, if you sell for less than value, how quickly and how much will you regret it once the value comes back? And if Mark Andrews comes back, because the Ravens are making the playoffs, so he's going to come back. So like if Andrews just makes it through the playoffs and kills it, you know, Kelsey's another year older. Maybe Andrews is a bunch of people's tight end 1. and you sold him for like tight end 5 or 6 just because he was hurt and you wanted to score some points. Like, so this is very interesting to me. So let's look at these are all big boy trades. Okay. So the first trade, well, both 12-team Superflex, again, solid. Garrett Wilson and Mark Andrews for Javonte Williams, Tank Dell, and Trey McBride. Garrett Wilson, 600. Mark Andrews, 347 for a total of 947. Javonte, 328. Tank Dell, that needs to get higher than 235, 236.
Yeah, that's wildly low. That's gonna bump up
real bad.
So much.
Yeah, we're almost at the December mock, so you'll see. And then Trey McBride at 90, which will also go up. So like the analyzer values aren't strong on this one, and it totals 655. This is crazy to me. Like, I get it again that Tank Dell and Trey McBride are undervalued in this, and I do like Javonte, mostly because his value is low where it should be. I don't see why you do this. I don't see what it gets you. Like, you're getting points, yeah, but
that's it.
That's like
you're getting points.
Trey McBride can finish the season as like the tight end 5, and he'll still be worth less than half of Mark Andrews. Like, you're not recovering this value with these 3 players, except for, again, Tank Dell will absolutely be a top 15-ish wide receiver if he finishes the season like this.
Mm-hmm. The funny part, though, is that you're actually getting older going from Garrett Wilson to Tank Dell. So you're gaining age.
Oh, yeah. Garrett Wilson's 23. Tank Dell's 24. I didn't realize that. Of course, that doesn't really matter. But okay, let's look into our crystal ball.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers does not come back this season. Tank Dell finishes the season doing what he's doing. Chances are Garrett Wilson and Tank Dell are going to be worth the same thing.
Yes. I don't think Tank would be above Garrett Wilson, but I think they'll be right next to each other. They will be basically right next to each other.
So, because that seems like what this is with those wide receivers, in which case you're sending Mark Andrews for Javonte Williams and Trey McBride, and I am not behind that.
Yeah, I'm not behind that either. Not to mention that I would take Garrett Wilson over Tank Dell.
Same.
You can say that. I think, to me, at best they are equal, but I would still take Garrett Wilson over Tank Dell. Like I just said, like, Tank Dell's a year older. Garrett Wilson fits the alpha wide receiver profile so much more. He's going to get Aaron Rodgers back. And I don't think people think of, like, oh, what if Houston adds another wide receiver? Like, they have a first-round pick that they could add in a very amazing wide receiver class. We just mentioned that they could do something in free agency.
They do not have a first-round pick.
They have Cleveland's from Deshaun Watson, the Deshaun Watson trade.
Oh, there it is. Yes, they do. My bad.
It'll be like 20 or something like that, but that
doesn't matter.
That's perfect range for a rookie wide receiver. That's not Marvin Harrison Jr.
There's gonna be like 5 or 6 wide receivers taken in the first round again.
Yes,
like that's what this draft is going to be, and he's going to be huge, which is actually good for Tank Dell, because all the wide receivers in this draft are gigantic, and I love it. And Tank Dell is not that, so it should, like, if anything, sorry Nico, but like I think Tank will be fine.
I agree. I think Tank will be fine, but I think that would lower his value a little bit, kind of like, what Jamar Chase did to T. Higgins. Sorry. I mean, it hurt his value. Did it hurt his production? Maybe a little bit, but it hurt his value. So there's that. That's not going to happen to Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson will be the alpha no matter really what wide receiver they bring in, unless they draft Marvin Harrison Jr. But anyway, but yeah, I'm not trading away Mark Andrews for Javonte or Trey McBride. I'm still hesitant on Trey McBride because I want to see what happens when Zach Ertz comes back. And I know that there should be no question whatsoever that McBride should be the tight end 1 over Zach Ertz, but they utilize Zach Ertz so much at the beginning of the year. And not every single coach is the smartest when it comes to players' utilization.
Yeah,
I have that same kind of issue with Kincaid as well, too, because his breakout's been with Dawson Knox out. And when Dawson Knox comes back in, I'm not certain of what is going to happen. Again, I would love to say that Dalton Kincaid just kicks Dawson Knox to the side, just as I would love to say that Trey McBride kicks Zach Ertz to the side. But there's that little piece of it holding me back a little bit. But even still, Trey McBride would not be a top 5 dynasty tight end for me, even if he finished the year as like a top 8 guy.
The next trade is equally as crazy. Tua Tagovailoa and Mark Andrews for Kyler Murray, Christian Kirk, and Jalen Warren. Tua up at 774, Mark Andrews at 347 for a total of 1121. Kyler 590, Christian Kirk 228, Jalen Warren 103 for a total of 920. Do you think there's that much difference between Tua and Kyler?
Nope. That was the first thing that I noticed in this one, and I think that they're basically identical. And if you add 200 points to Kyler to make him even to Tua, that evens out this trade.
Yeah, and again, I'm like this. It seems like we're doing what we did last time, where we're just scratching out a player on each side. So Tua and Kyler crossed off. So this is Mark Andrews for Christian Kirk and Jalen Warren.
And I'm not doing that.
I like that less than Javonte and Trey McBride.
Yeah, because at least you're getting a tight end replacement that you have hope for could build upon what he's doing to end the year. Whereas with Kirk, I mean, Kirk is fine. He feels like the Javonte Williams of the wide receiver position. And I really like Christian Kirk. But he ebbs and flows so much depending on who Trevor Lawrence feels like throwing to that week.
Yeah, but the one thing I will say is that they want him as part of the game plan. Like,
yes,
there was a week or two where Kirk wasn't getting the ball enough, and Peterson came out. He's like, we need to get Christian Kirk more involved. Like, no one is out there clamoring for Christian Kirk to get the ball, that he felt the need to say that. So, like, he wants it to happen. Since Kyler came back, he has been terrible and has only been the QB 10 in points per game. Tua, it's been the QB 23.
And his schedule is still rough to end the year.
Yeah, it's like, honestly, like, I love Tua and all, but like, he did not live up to those first 3 games.
No. Although he might throw for like 700 yards this week. They play Washington.
That's gonna be fun. Oh man, those two QBs throwing at each other. I might skip red zone and just watch that game.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's so good. So yeah, like, calling those two quarterbacks even to me is, in the long run, maybe doing Kyler a disservice. Yeah. But right now, I'd say at worst they're even. So again, like, I don't get why Mark Andrews all of a sudden is just off my roster. Give me anything. And that's what it feels like. And it's really funny because I have Travis Kelce on a team that I'm probably not going to end up making the playoffs, even though I wish I did. And the guy with Mark Andrews is trying to get him from me, and I'm pretty much saying, give me a first. It's his first, and he's in first or second place. So it's late, and he won't do it. And I'm just like, that's kind of where I'm at. But honestly, I was kind of there anyway. Like, even with Andrews, was like, to me, Kelce he's my tight end one. He will be until he decides to retire. So it was probably like Andrews in a second for Kelce when Andrews was healthy. So adding that extra to make it to a late first doesn't even seem like a big difference to me, but that's kind of where I am at it. But like, adding, like, that does not seem like adding a first to Christian Kirk and Jalen Warren is not going to get you Travis Kelce from me.
Right.
Like, so this seems so far off.
I acquired Mark Andrews in TA 11.
For Kittle.
Yeah, for Kittle. I started to tear down my team because it disappointed me this year. Like, every single one of my players just completely underwhelmed, except for Lamar Jackson.
Please tell me I have Jahan Dotson in TA 11.
No, you're not getting T. Higgins for Jahan Dotson in a second.
I know,
but that was one of those trades where it was like perfect. Like, so I traded George Kittle to Zach, who's in first place right now and just lost Andrews.
Yes.
So it was a perfect, like, he gets a tight end to continue competing who can have those spike weeks. And I get a tight end who's injured right now who is not going to really hurt the fact that I'm rebuilding. And
yeah, Zach was on Trade Addicts that week when you guys made that trade. And he's like, look, am I thrilled about it? No. Is it going to help me win? Yes. Do I like Kittle? I really do. But he was probably the line. And Kittle is like his tight end 3 or 4. So like he wasn't willing to go down very far in a straight up trade. And I completely agree. Like I know a lot of people like will try and get like,
as soon as I saw the email, I hit the accept button so quickly.
yeah,
I was like, I'm not even giving you time to pull this one back because if you're thinking about it more. I was like, yes, absolutely.
There's IR Zach Ertz on my team though. And Dalton Kincaid and Sam Laporta. That's weird. Why do I have Dalton Kincaid on the team?
Oh, they sound great.
Yeah, my taxi squad. All right. Well, that's it for today's trade show. Thankfully, we don't have that many more injured players to talk about because it's enough NFL. Seriously.
I did try to pull. You mentioned about pulling Jonathan Taylor trades. I did look up Jonathan Taylor, but nobody has traded for him in the trade finder in the past 6 days. So
yeah, it was more of a
good disservice to talk about.
Is anybody paying more than like a second for Zach Moss kind of thing? Like, I also heard that it might only be like 2 weeks. Like, so I don't really even know what it was, but I just, if there was something interesting to talk about, I figured why not? But I guess not.
No, Jonathan Taylor's still Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Congratulations if you had Zach Moss though, and you're competing because now you just got a free RB2.
Yeah, for probably just 2 to 3
weeks. Yep.
But this has been the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. Russ Fisher, Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes at Amaze Hayes _. We'll catch you next time.